Hi, have you noticed yourself or the people around you have been more irritable lately, grumpy, maybe even angry? I know I have, and it really doesn't surprise me because with everything we've all been going through these past several months with the pandemic, really anger is one of the most human, natural reactions a lot of us could be having right now. But because I know that anger is for many people an uncomfortable emotion and one that many people can't really say, oh, I know how to manage it in a way that is really productive for me. They may not even know, as you're hearing me say, productive anger, what do you mean? I know that that's something that you may not have had a history, especially if you're somebody that would describe yourself as you're not really an angry type, but now because the stress levels are really, really turned up, you've found yourself that way too. I want you to have access to my 2 steps that will really have you feeling like when you're feeling that feeling, you will know that you are coping in the most productive, successful way so that this doesn't get the best of you. So I've got 2 steps I'm going to offer to you today. The first one's going to have to do with what you're saying to yourself, and the second has to do with the physical, like the expression of your anger. I want to make a distinction before I get into the 2 steps that I have between the 2 types of anger. One is maladaptive and the other is adaptive. So what I'm not going to be talking about today is maladaptive anger is things like, tantruming or raging, or if people are physically abusive, where people feel out of control, explosive. That's not what we're talking about. What I want to talk with you about is adaptive anger. Now, for you to be hearing those 2 words together, that might be news to you. Adaptive anger, because many people sort of think of anger as this thing that's to be avoided. But I want to reassure you that when times of stress come upon us, anger is one of the most powerful, amazing feelings you can have because it's a signaling emotion. What do I mean by signaling? When you're experiencing anger in a very, like I said, a very normal, challenging time, so that I'm saying anger is kind of the one we would expect to have show up. Your anger is a call to action. Your anger is telling you that something has gone on that has you sort of out of emotional balance. And right now it's very understandable that along with feeling low or anxious or angry, those things together would be very, very normal. I want to reassure you that your anger is actually a gift to you because it's going to help you to know that something's not working for me. I would need to do something different so that I'll feel better. And that's why I want you to consider it something that you want to be thankful for. And actually, there's a lot of research that says that for people that have more depressive moods, that's actually anger gone inwards. So what I love about anger and your irritability and your grumpiness, if you've had it, is it's right there at the surface, ready for you to say, okay, look, let me deal with you. Let me get rid of this so that I can not be weighed down by it. Make sense? Cool. So along the lines too, when I just mentioned that anger can be something that if it goes inwards, it can bog you down, weigh you down, and be just not something that you're able to feel like you're managing productively. I want you to think of anger and your choice to express anger in a productive, forward-moving way as you really taking charge of your feelings, of these experiences that have happened outside of you, and really it's like you're saying, look, I'm going to figure out how to manage this. I'm going to basically take my own side in terms of my well-being so that I don't let this cause me any unnecessary suffering or pain, because I bet you have been doing that. Now, let me get into first, when I said the first step is really about your talk. What I want you to do is, the first thing is you're going to be acknowledging that you're grumpy or irritable or angry, right? So if you're not really familiar with that, you want to be paying close attention to your moods. Then what I want you to do around your talk is what I call make the external to internal shift. And what that is the external is right now we kind of know. I mean, it's all different for each of us individually, but the fact that we all say, hey, yeah, it's reasonable that we've been angry or annoyed by this. I want you to think about what outside of you has happened. So for each of us, it's different. For some people, it's more been the financial pinch. For some people, it's been the feeling of lack of freedoms to move around. For some, it's been the stress of teaching your kids. Whatever the source of your anger is, I want you to really think about that Don't just assume you know. Think about what's been going on for me. That's the external, what's happened to me that I don't have control over. I feel like I don't have control over. And then I'm going to ask you to make a shift to the internal using your talk, which is, okay, now that I'm going to walk you through it. So let's say for you, you've lost your job, your income has decreased, or your kids are driving you nuts, or your relationship has been feeling really stressed out. Those are all of the things that have happened to you. You're going to acknowledge it and say, hey, yeah, this has happened to me, and I am pissed, I'm annoyed, I'm grumpy, I'm on edge. That's the acknowledgement. And then the shift to the internal is, what am I going to do about it? Because when we think about living powerfully, masterfully, we don't let things happen to us and just lay there passively. We say, this is a challenge. What am I going to do about it? So that external to internal shift is really important. It's really just as simple as I said. Think about everything that's happened and say, all right, what am I going to do about it? Because that will get you in touch with what you are in control over. And that really just is, it's magic in terms of you feeling more powerful in terms of how you manage it. So that's the talk. The first part of it is really getting you into the mindset, okay, I know this is happening for me. I know why I'm feeling angry. It's a signaling emotion. It's a call to action. So what am I going to do about it? So that leads me to the second point, which is the physical. I want you to really, really take this in, because I don't know if you've ever heard this before. But anger, I believe, is really about energy. And the great news about that is that one of the most powerful ways for you to express your anger, have that adaptive anger technique, to expressing your anger so that it doesn't go in, you're able to get rid of it, not allow those external events to go in, you're going to let go of them. I want you to think about the idea that you're expressing energy. So with that in mind, you may already know when I said I was going to talk to you about the physical. What I want you to put into practice, and of course you're going to figure out your specific thing, what works for you, but I want you to think about all of the physical activity that you've been expending. And when you're feeling grumpy, you've got that irritability, you're feeling just a little on edge, I want you to step it up a notch. Because you may not realize that any energy expenditure you have right now, whether it's a planned, like official exercise workout, or if it's a walk, you may not realize it, but it's a really, really wonderful way for you to express the anger, which is really that extra energy that we have. Works the same way with anxiety, but right now I think it's really pertinent because people are feeling they have not been expending, many people have not been expending as much energy as they usually do, and that's also a cause of why they've been feeling grumpy. So when you look at what you've been doing physically lately, I want you to step it up, especially in moments, days, if you're having several days in a row where you're feeling out of sorts and angry, you really want to step that up. So now here comes the fun part. When we talk about the physical expenditure of energy, I want you to really get in touch with how angry you're feeling, and I want you to get creative, and I want you to have fun with this. So whether you are somebody that, you're feeling annoyed and you're like, I usually run 3 miles, I'm going to run 4, I'm going to run 5, and you get in touch with that, I want you to go for it. If you're somebody that doesn't do it that way, but you want to dance it out, crank some music, maybe the stuff that, is more churning, not the meditative stuff. We're talking about the whatever your version of it is, heavy metal or something that's got some meat to it. I want you to blast that because you're going to maybe be dancing it out. And for those of you who are feeling like, that's not enough, Lee, I need to do more, I'm going to offer to you something that I've had the experience of doing in my personal development work. And thank you to Synergy Education for this technique, that you can do your version of airboxing with your hands or your legs. If you are feeling really pissed off, this is incredibly effective. So what you'll be doing is getting it all out. So meet yourself where you are. If you can run it out, if you can fast walk it out, if you can yell it out, that's great. If you need more, you step it up. Always want to meet yourself where you are. That's how you're going to make sure that you get all of that out. So I want you to get involved in that activity, several minutes, and I want you to keep going until you you keep digging and looking for more anger, more irritability, more grumpiness, and I want you to let it all out. This is where you can actually have fun with it. If you're somebody that wants to yell or swear, and the reason why you do that is as you expend all that energy, you then are going to get to a point where it's going to be all let out. You've gotten rid of it, and you can actually say, hey, look, I was amazed at how much better I felt after that. And you can even, I've had the experience of seeing people, then they actually can kind of laugh about it, because what that's about is saying, you know what, COVID or anything, you can use these long after the pandemic has passed, to say, you know what, I feel angry, something's out of whack with me, but I am not going to let outside influences cost me any more of that angry feeling. I'm going to let it out, and then you get into that, more relaxed vibe, and that's where the experience that I had recently was someone sharing me that they actually were laughing at themselves about it. They said, I didn't realize I was that pissed off. And then they let it out, and they were able to sort of have a good sense of humor about it, which is an amazingly adaptive coping mechanism. So I hope that this helps. Put it into practice. If you have any questions about it, get in touch with me at my website, leodaskalki.com, and I'd love to know how you make out. So remember, if you have anger, irritability, grumpiness, it's really, really human and natural, but it's a call to action. It's asking you to do something with it so that you don't let it cost you one more bit of energy, so that you can get back to a much more calm and balanced mood. Great. Take care.